today's hot topic is all about SEO. And I'm really excited because there's a lot of really great information in here. But I'm not just doing, my kids are screaming. I'm not just doing SEO for your website, but also we'll talk about keywords and like how this applies to other platforms as well, besides only a website or a blog. And then we'll probably touch on, but we can save it for another meeting or another hot topic, is Noelle's specialty is hashtags, because those are basically the keywords for Instagram, right? So we will, that deserves a whole week in itself, if not more. So, but let's talk a little bit about SEO. And if you aren't familiar, you probably are, but I'm just going to pretend you're not, and I'll just tell you that SEO is stands for search engine optimization. So Google is the largest search engine in the world, and they also own YouTube. So YouTube is also a search engine. I know it's a video platform, but it is a search engine. And then Pinterest is a search engine as well. So search engines are where you go to find answers, right? So we go to Google and ask for, what size table do I need for my dining room? And we go, to how do I hang a picture or whatever, there's just a lot of, you can go to Google pretty much for anything. You can pretty much do the same thing on YouTube. And if you notice that on Google, when you type in a question, you will often get YouTube videos as answers. And that's because they are their parent company. So between the two of them, it is mind-blowing and mind-boggling how much power they have and how much they do to go through your stuff, your personal posts and websites and, and everything that you put out into the universe, and how they categorize it and then how they use it to show other people. Because as we've said many times in the past, if you build it, it doesn't necessarily mean they will come. So you can have the best business idea or the best blog idea or the best blog post idea or the best social media, post. And just because you put the work and the effort into it does not necessarily mean that people are going to flock to it or see it. And so we really want to focus on, hang on a second, let me just change this little view here. Sorry, we really want to focus on how people find you, because that is what SEO is. That is what, what you're trying to do. You're trying to get it so that when people ask a question on a search engine, your answer is the one that shows up, right? And your answer is the one that shows up towards the top of the page. Because as you know, as a user, we tend not to go past the first top 10 things that are showing up. And it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort really to get to that first page of, of answers or solutions. And that's on all platforms, not just Google, but, Pinterest, Instagram when we talk about hashtags. But it can be done. And so I have a lot of really cool tips and hacks and meanings here that I wanted to go through. SEO, just remember, is all about the long game. So this is not a quick fix. You can work on SEO, and I know Diana does this a lot. She had somebody come and audit her website and her blog, because she has a blog, a very healthy, chock-full blog, right? And so she had somebody audit her, and they gave her all of these things that she could do to improve her SEO on her, to her website. But it includes going back to so many posts and making so many corrections, or not corrections, but enhancements. And, it's a lot of work. So just remember that the SEO is all about the long game. This is not all about, getting an instant gratification reward. Not to say that you can't. You could tweak something, or you could put something out with all this, good information in mind, right from the start. And it could pop up on the first page of, the Google search in the next couple of months. But mostly it takes a while. So when you create a new website or a new blog site, the typical average thought is that it takes about 6 months to a year for you to start showing up in searches. And I'm not talking first page, I'm talking even second, third page, but for your business to start showing up. It doesn't mean if somebody goes on and looks for Jen Smart Plan Investing, yes, she's going to be one of the first people to come up, right? But if they're looking for, investing for women and, somebody to teach me how to do that, she's not going to be the first to pop up in the first, couple of months. It's a pretty broad topic, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So we'll just keep that in mind, that it's all about the long game here. the keywords are a part of SEO, right? So SEO is like kind of the big broad umbrella. It is the search engine optimization, meaning you are doing everything you can to make you extra pretty for that search engine, right? Whether it's Google, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, whatever it is. And Facebook and Instagram are not search engines, so I don't want to get confused here. But if somebody's looking for you, you're doing everything that you can to be pretty so that Google, and we're just going to generally talk in Google terms here, but for Google to want to show you off. But keywords are probably the main source of how Google does that, right? How you look pretty to Google is through keywords. That's the main one. There are other ones here, and I'm going to go through. In fact, it is thought that there are over 200 factors that Google uses based on your website and blog in order to know who to put at the top and who to show to people. 200 factors is a lot. We know really well a couple, and keywords though is definitely like probably the biggest percentage of that. So let's talk about keywords and what that means and like how you can actually use them. So keywords are exactly what you think they are. They are kind of like the topic of what you're trying to talk about in any copy or in a video. And keywords are how people would search for what you're talking about, right? So if there is if Diana is writing a blog post on blueberry cobbler, the keyword there is how to make is blueberry cobbler recipe, probably, right? So that's a keyword. There's research that you want to do with those keywords, like with your main topic keyword, and then you want to find other little related topics and related words, and then you're going to use those words in your actual copy or in your actual video. So she is not going to title this blueberry cobbler recipe blog post as my favorite dessert of all time, because that doesn't play into it. Might be true, right? And she might write about it in the post how this is her favorite dessert to make of all time, or how she loves to eat it or whatever, but that's not the keyword that people are searching for. People aren't going on and saying, I want blueberry cobbler. What is your favorite dessert of all time, right? They're going on and saying, or just writing blueberry cobbler recipe. And so we have to think about that. Like, how are people asking the question that you are providing a solution for? So keyword research is, think about your topic, right? What is the purpose of this topic? And now I'm talking like we're just talking about blog posts, but we're not. I'm talking about it as well, even if you're not blogging, but if you have a website, you can apply all of these same principles to the actual website, because your website has copy on it, right? So you have an About Me page, you have a home page, you have maybe a services page, you maybe have a gallery, like photo gallery. So anything that you put out into the internets, that has words on it, or video, because there's video as well. Google is getting smarter and smarter with video. Anything with words is free range, right? It's like open target. Like that's where you want that's where you want Google to look. So you take that topic, you think about what the purpose of it is, either the purpose of the blog, or the purpose like blog post, or the purpose of the actual page. Or even we can dial this down and look at each individual platform, like Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook. And again, Instagram and Facebook are not search engines, but you can apply these principles to all of this, because you're looking for people to find you, right? So with Instagram, instead of saying the word keywords, we would say hashtags. It's interchangeable. It's just that you put a little hashtag sign in front of it, okay? So you want to know what the purpose of that page or post is. Like, what's the purpose of this copy that you are writing or speaking? And how would a user type into a search bar to find the solution that they're looking for, to find the solution that you're providing? So again, it was a great example is, if I'm looking for a blueberry cobbler recipe, I'm not going to type in what is the best dessert of all time, right? I'm going to say blueberry cobbler recipe. So think about it that way. Think how your user is out there actually doing it. And then, do real-time experimentation. Like if you think of a topic, like I think, I'm going to talk about how to you know, arrange a closet, right? So that you can get dressed fast. I'm going to actually think about how I would type that in. How do I effectively arrange a closet or efficiently arrange a closet? You know, that, and so I want to write down those words and keep those kind of keywords in my mind. And so that's the first thing. You can go to Google and just do like a general, this is like the bare minimum kind of keyword research you can do. Just go to Google and start typing in what your, you know, the problem that you have that you provided, or problem that your user would have that you provide the solution for in this post or on your website page or whatever, wherever it is. You know, when you type in something on Google, like kind of related topics start populating in the search bar, pay attention to those, jot them down, because those are the things that people are searching for. So if I write blueberry, it might say cobbler, it might say blueberry picking, it might say blueberry, you know, desserts, you know, whatever it is. So you want to kind of jot those down, because those are things to keep in mind that people are searching for, and you might want to be using those in your copy or in your videos. At the bottom of that Google search page, when, you know, the answers come up, you always see like related topics at the bottom. That's just another spot telling you this is what people are searching for, similar to what you're, you know, you're typing in right now. So start jotting those things down as you're creating. So let's apply that to a website, not just a blog post, right? So I'll use the Mama Crush as an example. I don't even have that website up anymore, but let's just use the Mama Crush. If I have my homepage and it was all about personal styling, and it was all about how I can help women and how I can help them pick out clothes and put together outfits and arrange their closets and that sort of thing. So I needed to really pay attention to that page and what I was writing, and ask myself, how, if somebody is searching for you know, a personal stylist, and they get to this page, is it answering all those questions, right? Is it answering all the things? If somebody were to type into Google, you know, closet organizer, Jupiter, Florida, and my page happens to come up, am I answering those questions? Am I paying attention to that topic? So if I'm not, my name probably wouldn't ever pop up, right? So I want to make sure that my name pops up if somebody is typing that in. So those are basic keywords. So you want to keep those in mind. You want to come up with like, what's your best keyword. So if personal stylist was the Mama Crush's main keyword, right? That's like what describes exactly what I do. Maybe Jen's is financial, oh, I forgot the word, like financial coach, we'll just say. I know it's not what you're called, but like, or advisor, financial advisor, right? Something along those lines. So, or financial coach. But anyway, if somebody put in personal, or if I'm describing my main keyword for my Mama Crush homepage is personal stylist, that's my main keyword. I also am going to need in there though some like supportive keywords, right? And some related keywords. And then also, what was I going to say? Oh, some long tail keywords. So long tail keywords are just a special way of saying niche it down, ladies. Niche, 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 right? So we have a lot, you know, we have a couple interior designers in our group. And if I go on Google and type in interior designer, Palm Beach County, I'm going to get a gazillion answers, right? There's a lot of interior designers. But if I type in, I don't say, change that. Let me just say interior designers. I'm going to get a gazillion answers. If I type in then interior designer, Palm Beach County, North Palm Beach, West Indies style, you know, the more detailed you get, the more you niche it down, the better the results, the better that the possibility of you popping up somewhere. Katie Usher, I can't remember if she hasn't been on a meeting in a long time, but she is a therapist, but she's like a physical therapist, but she specializes in pelvic therapy, right? And she's in Jupiter. She's been in our group on meetings before. But she, you know, if I were to put into a search bar, you know, physical therapist, even physical therapist Jupiter, I'm going to get a lot of answers. But if I put in physical therapist, pelvic specialist, or pelvic floor specialist, I don't know what she calls herself exactly, but as you can imagine, it's going to narrow it down, and there's a lot better chance of her popping up at the top of that list, right? So long tail keyword is just a special name for niche it down, right? Niche it down and use those actual keywords. And you know, Jen is another good example, or Gwen, let's use Gwen as an example, you know, meditation. Well, that is like a huge broad term, right? But she's a meditation teacher or educator, coach. You know, she provides services. If she can dial it down, and she's in Jupiter, right? So if she could dial it down a little bit, then, or a lot, not a little bit, but she's going to have a much better chance of popping up at the top of a search page or a search engine than if someone just put in meditation. Right? There could be, I don't even know how many answers you get on that. So just think of long tail keywords as niching down and getting really specific with your keywords. There's a couple of ways to do some more research on keywords besides just doing your own Google search. There are a few things. If you have a blog, you actually have a blog, you have WordPress, Yoast is probably the most popular plugin that you can attach to your WordPress blog. And as you blog, when you start it out, you type in the keywords that you're going to use in like a little box. And then as you write the post, it kind of gives you like a green light, yellow light, red light, like, yeah, you're doing good, or you're straying off, or you're not going to be found at all if you want these keywords, you know. And the way to make it better, I have a lot of little hints here, but one of them is to use those keywords in your copy, right? Same thing if you were to do a video on YouTube. If I say my video is about personal style, but then I get on there and talk about baking, Google knows that, YouTube knows that. They know those words, what's coming out of your mouth, and I'm not going to pop up then in the personal style videos. But if I get on there and I talk about, you know, 5 outfits to wear while you're home mom schooling or whatever, you know, then that's a different story. I'm going to pop up a little better. So make sure you're using those keywords in your copy or in your words that you're speaking. Yoast, though, is a popular plugin for WordPress. If you are not actually writing a blog on WordPress, though, there's a lot of places to go to get keyword help. Diana has given us stuff before. I think at one point she had used keywords everywhere, but I might be mistaken. I don't know. She's quiet right now. I might be mistaken, but Yoast, sorry, Chrissy, is Y-O-A-S-T, like toast, but with a Y. And so keywords everywhere, I don't know if that's the best one right now. These are some free ones that you can use. I just think any information is good information, right? So go to any of these and try. There's Uber Suggest, and I think that's the one she's using now, if I'm not mistaken. Uber Suggest. There's a couple others. I haven't checked these other ones to see if, okay, Diana's saying that keywords everywhere doesn't exist. Keysearch.co, that's one I was gonna tell you guys about. She just wrote keysearch.co. That is a paid one as far as I know. Yeah, it's paid. Okay, it's not very expensive. I think it's around, it's $17 a month or $15, $17 a month. If this is really important to you guys, it may be something worth investing. However, there are a lot of free tools, especially as you're getting started. Like make sure this is something you're going to use and apply and all. So you can use these other ones. Another one is KW Finder, like keyword finder, but it's KW Finder. SERPs, it's capital S, capital E, capital R, capital P, capital S, SERPs, and BuzzSync, BuzzSync. So those are some to check out. I imagine they all just have their own little features. There are free versions. There's, of course, paid versions. There are other plugins besides Yoast, and I don't know, depending on what platform you host your website on, there may be plugins that you can use to also help you when you're writing, stuff like that, when you're writing copy. I'm sorry. I don't mean to say stuff like that. So that's where you can go to do that keyword research. So anytime you're writing anything or doing a video on anything, if you want to make this optimize for search engines like SEO, you want to, and we'll just call it like SEOing, you know, you want to SEO this thing, then you start with your topic, because everything starts with an idea, right? Everything you do, whether it's a blog post, whether it's your actual website pages, your About Me page, whatever, you start with the idea. Come up with the topic and then start doing some keyword research. It doesn't have to take long. It's a few minutes. And, you know, and jot those keywords down and then decide which one of these you're going to be using. The benefit of using these little helpers, right, like keywords everywhere, keysearch.co, is that they give you more information than just keywords that are related to this. They give you information like how many people, not necessarily how many people, but if something is a strongly searched word, if something has a lot of competition. YouTube has, volume and competition. Exactly, Diana. YouTube has its own TubeBuddy. Its own like kind of analytics and helps you create, all the good keywords and all that stuff. And it just tells you what everyone else is doing in your categories. It tells you, who else is getting traffic and how they're, what words are they using, that sort of thing, what topics, what titles. The keyword or keysearch.co that Diana is using as well. When I was researching it, it seems also that there was something else really cool about it, and I can't remember what it is. I'll have to come back to that. That thought just left my mind. Anyway, there was another cool feature on it that made it worth paying for, but I can't remember right now. Okay, so let's talk about the About Me page on your website. You'll have to go to your Google Analytics. If you guys have a website, you'll have to go to your Google Analytics and see truly what is your most visited pages, right? What are your most visited either posts or like actual pages on your website? But so many times your About Me page is highly visited. It is looked at. People want to know that you are the authority on whatever it is you're talking about. So I'm going to encourage you to make that About Me page very SEO friendly by taking out the fluff. Of course, you want to have a little fun in there, and give a little personal information, but this is your moment to brag, right? This is to talk about why you are the expert at this. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have degrees or anything. It's just you talk about your experience. Talk about, I don't have like a personal styling degree, but I have been working with fashion, lines for the last 10 years. I have, consulted for a couple of different companies. I've always dressed my friends. I've always dressed myself. I've always, those type of things. Like what makes me the expert? I have, been posting on Instagram for 5 years, and sharing my style and, helping women find theirs, that kind of thing. So show your authority on the subject. Google is paying attention to that. It's not just for the sake of your users, but Google is paying attention. But it's like an intricate web, because if users get on there, go to your About Me page, and it's all fluff and all like sweet and fun. Not that you don't want to be sweet and fun, but I just mean, and it's not really, it doesn't show why you are the person that they should be coming to for these answers. They're not going to stay, right? It's just human nature. They're not going to stay. The more they stay, the more Google loves that, right? Google hearts users on your site, right? Google hearts people staying on your site. Google hearts people going from page to page on your site. Google hearts, person reading one blog post and going to the next blog post and going to the next blog post. So just keep that in mind, that your About Me page, not only does it help Google to see exactly who you are, it reads those words, and it knows exactly why you are the expert at this, but it also helps when people stay on your site. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't worry about bragging. Everyone expects it. They go to the About Me page because they want to find out why they should be listening to you. You can say it in a nice way. You don't say like, I'm a total badass. Like I have been, helping people get dressed for 10 years and they're definitely the best dressed people in the room. I'm not going to say it like that. I'm going to say like, I've had the pleasure of working with clients for 10 years or, whatever it is. So, you can show your authority and still be nice and not make it like you're bragging, but you do want to brag a little bit. You do want to tell why you are so good at this. Diana has, 10 plus years of doing this. She has so much experience. She has cooked hundreds of thousands of meals, right? That is her authority. She didn't necessarily go to school to be a chef, but she's freaking awesome at this. And she's been writing and sharing for 10 plus years. That is like something she needs to be bragging about. So keep that in mind. Another really, this is kind of a hack or kind of thing. And I don't want to say hack, but it's not something that people talk about a lot. When they're talking about SEO, you kind of get like a lot about this keyword stuff, but you need to make sure that you have a secure website. So if you have a host for your website, like HostGator, Bluehost, somewhere, it's kind of like the house that your website, or the block that your website lives in, right? Or lives on your website's your house, or your blog's your house. The host is like the neighborhood, the block. So go there and make sure that, or type in your website if you're not sure about this, because a lot of people, including me, will set up like a website or a blog and not even know whether they've done this or not. The difference is the HTTP some or semicolon / as opposed to HTTPS. That S stands for secure, right? And it means you get like an SSL certificate. These are foreign words to me. I don't know what they mean. I just know that it makes your site secure. And Google hearts secure websites. All right. Google likes that. If you do not have a secure website, there are times when maybe you'll show up in a search engine, or maybe somebody's looking for you particularly, or looking for a particular post you wrote, or something that you have out there in the World Wide Web. And when they click on the link, it says error 404, or user not found, or we cannot show you this site, or some sort of error message. And that's due to the security of your site. This is something that you can change. Go to your HostGator, Bluehost, wherever it is that your website is housed or hosted. And you can find out how to do that there. You can probably ask for help. They probably even have an FAQ on it. And it's going to be somewhere in the security settings. So you can get that changed over to HTTPS. It probably takes a little while for it to convert, right? But it's worth doing. So just keep that in mind, because Google hearts secure websites. So social networks, let's talk about why social networks are important. So the Facebooks, Instagrams, they do not play into Google and SEO. So it doesn't matter if you have a Facebook page or an Instagram post. It doesn't matter to Google. What does matter is that you are driving traffic that way, right? So again, it's kind of working hand in hand. It's not necessarily that Google cares whether you have an Instagram feed or a Facebook page, but they do care that more people come to your website. And the only way, not the only, but one of the major ways we get people to come to our website is from our social platforms. So just kind of keep that in mind. So they are related, but not like hooked together, right? But they are definitely related. Another way, okay, here, let's see here. Okay, so another way besides using keywords in your website or on your blog post that you can help with the SEO is by using backlinks or getting backlinks. And backlinks are simply when someone links to your page from their website, right? So if I did something with Diana, let's just say, and she talked about business casual, or the Mama Crush or whatever in her blog post, and then sent a link to, go check that out and sent it to my page, that for me is a backlink. And backlinks are amazing because they lend authority, right? Other people, and especially if somebody is established and it's like a good blog page or a good blog post, blog site. I don't know what I'm trying to say, blog or website, that is like legit, like Diana's is, then if I'm featured on there as a backlink, it tells Google that I am an authority on this particular subject and that other people trust me. And so Google should trust me and be able to show me off. So backlinks are really, really important. Don't ever buy a backlink. All right. This actually can, if you start kind of getting into this and thinking about how important these are, they're awesome, but never is anything worth buying like that, right? It's like buying followers on Instagram or something. And Google is so much smarter than we are. They are going to know if you have purchased these backlinks. One thing you can do though is guest post. So you can guest post on, websites or blogs, especially if they're like credible, they're authoritative, they're well-known, and you get a guest post. Many times you are simply guest posting for that backlink, right? That is your payment. You are guest posting for that. So that if I guest post for, I don't know, name one, the words are slipping my mind, or the places are slipping my mind right now, but I don't know. Let's just say I guest posted for Vogue. Never happened in my life. I'm just saying. But let's just say I did a guest post for like Vogue.com or something. my payment would most likely be that backlink and then also the eyes that are on, that post. But it is actually something that's really valuable. So Diana is saying something on here. Don't let people convince you to pay for a link on your blog or site either. That's against Google regulations and can get you penalized. Yes, your site penalized. Exactly. So like I said, Google is way smarter than we are. They know if you have paid for something. These words are all read by Google. So if somebody's sending you something and saying, you have to pay for it, Google is going to find out. They're going to know. They're everywhere, right? And your site could get blocked. It could be completely shut down, or not shut down, but like completely blacklisted and, penalized. And it also, of those 200 factors that Google uses to decide what they're going to show in a search engine, that is definitely one of them in there, right? Making sure that you haven't paid for any of your traffic like that. So keep that in mind. You can get a little more detailed here about these backlinks, where there's like some that are called like follow and no follows. No follows are like when you, well, I don't perfectly understand that. I don't know if Diana knows more about it. A follow link is when somebody can actually click on your link or on the link to your page and go to it and then be there on your page. A no follow link, I didn't really understand it. It said that, what I was reading was saying that you would use a no follow link if you were doing like affiliate marketing, like if I was posting something for Amazon. But then I'm like, well, stuff would still be on Amazon's link, or Amazon site. I don't know. I'll get more information on that maybe. No follow is when you want to refer, but doesn't give that site Google juice. Okay. Refer, but doesn't give that site Google juice. All right. So I think the follow links are more important for Google Analytics. It doesn't necessarily. Yeah, Diana.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to help you out because this is actually really important, because
okay.
it is one of the things that can get you dinged, like you were saying. So basically, like if you're being paid by someone to put a link on your blog, like let's say I'm working with Pillsbury, right? And I'm creating something for them, or they just want to work together in a collaboration. If I link to them and they're paying me, I have to make it no follow, because basically like I'm still saying that I'm referring readers and stuff to that page. But if it's kind of like them buying juice from me, Google juice from me.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. So that's why when I read it said use these for like affiliate marketing, because you're actually getting paid, right? For it. So
right. And a lot of times that's why I was saying before, never let anyone, especially if your blog or website starts to take off, you never want to let any brand or company say to you like, hey, as long as you do a do follow link, we can, give you money. Like you can even write it yourself or whatever. They'll say like, can you just link to our stuff? And if you do that, you're basically breaking the FTC, guidelines, and that's what can actually get your site dinged. And if you get, enough of that dinging, then basically, like you said, you get blacklisted by Google. Gotcha. It's not something you ever want. But yeah, basically what you were saying, like, they're both fine. I mean, you want to have follow links because that's where think of it as like electric current, like it lets the current go through kind of like, it's like how all the linking works and it gives you like credit on Google. But no follow links aren't bad. They just mean that you're like either being paid for it, or for whatever reason, you're not allowing that juice or authority to go through to the other page.
Gotcha. So like a no follow link is, it's still good to get eyes on your site. It's just not going to factor into Google Google SEO.
Right. And any brand you work with that, is worth anything, they're going to know that, and they're not going to ask you to break those rules. So, just with personal experience, like working with all kinds of brands, like if they're asking you to do a do follow and they're paying you, then they're shady.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yeah. Good to know. All right. Good to know. So it kind of might be able to break it down, guys, is to do follow is when you're not getting paid or any kind of kickback, and a no follow is when you are getting some sort of kickback or getting paid. That might be right. I think I will keep going with that. Thank you, Diana, for your insight, because I was very confused on that one. So you can also, like, if you ever do guest posts, just make sure, just ask the person. Like Diana said, if they're reputable and they've been around and they know what the deal is, then they're going to know if it's a do follow or no follow. If it's not, it's like your buddy's post, your friend's post or blog, and you just want to do that with them, and you're not really paying attention to that, then just remember, like, no follow is when there's any kind of kickback, like money involved, and a do follow is there's no money involved. So that might help. All right. Some other ways that you can improve your SEO besides just keywords. Always give away a lot. Always give away a lot of information, right? We talk about this when we talk about Instagram and Facebook and just social media posting. It's like, give the cart away, right? Give it all out. Give everything you know out. Gwen is really good at this. She gets on and she talks about meditation. She probably talks about all the things that she can sell to somebody, right? But she just gives it out for free because people only get things in snippets anyway. So they're going to come back to her because she's an authority figure. But the reason you want to do this for SEO is because, again, you are just being shown as the authority on this subject. You could put together all of your services that you offer, that you get paid for, right? And you could break them down into 100 different pages on your website. You don't want to really get 100 pages, but 100 different blog posts or 100 different, topics on your website. And people will still pay for your service because they don't have the time to filter through 100 pages of information on your website, right? But if they need a little bit of information here and there, they can come to you. So we can get more into detail about that when we start talking more about services and and paying and like monetizing what you do. We're going to do that in the next couple of months here. But just know that feel free to give away the information as much as you possibly can. I mean, if you have like a trade secret or something, don't do that. Don't give away your like secret sauce. But your knowledge in why you're the authority on whatever subject you are, because Google reads everything and hears all your videos and wants to know that you really are the authority on this topic. Let's see. So what time are we at? Okay, 12:39. Okay, good. A couple of things you can do on your actual website. So this isn't just about blog posts or anything. This is what you can do on your actual site to help your SEO is your actual website homepage header, right? And all the pages, the header. But let's just talk about your homepage first. You're going to usually have a little menu at the top, and it's going to have a couple of categories. It's going to have like, I don't know, an about me page, FAQs. It depends on your industry, what you're doing, but it might have blog posts. It might have, if you're a blogger, then like maybe for Diana, and I can't remember what she has at the top of hers, but maybe it's the different categories of what you talk about, maybe it's the different services you offer, whatever it is. Start with just 2 to 4 categories. Try to keep it simple, right? The simpler, the better. So like we said, Diana has thousands of recipes. So she's not going to write 100 different little topics at the top. I don't know if you guys ever go to somebody's website and there's like 100 or, like 30 little topics at the top and they're all tiny written and I'm out, But if you try to combine and keep it simple as possible, if you really are content heavy like that, if you are a blogger or you are really content heavy, try and keep it to like 2 to 4 of those categories. And then, cause you still also have just some space for like your about me page and maybe whatever else, like your services or FAQs or something, the things that are always going to be there. But try to keep it like 2 to 4 categories. And then if you just feel like you have way too much, then make subcategories in there. And, so if Diana has like, she's just easy for me to use here because she has so much content, but if she has desserts as a category and then underneath that, it's like, baked goods, one-step dishes, whatever it is, however she subcategorizes that. But that's, again, it's just teaching Google what you do and how you categorize what you do. You can use internal links. Internal links are really, really important for bloggers, but you can also apply them to your web pages. Internal links are when you are linking to something else on your website. So you're asking people to like click on to stay on your site though. They may be clicking off that page, but they're staying on your site. The thing about internal links is don't just throw an internal link in there here and there. If I write a blog post on, spring outfit trends, I'm not going to then put a link to how to clean my wax my floors. But I may put something on like how to shop at an affordable store or something. I don't know, and just make sure all these topics are related. Again, it's all about those keywords. It's all about everything being related. But you want to try to add as many internal links, not as many, I'm sorry, like 1 to 3 internal links to every blog post. And on your website pages, you can add links to go to other places on your website, right? So keep people on there, right? An external link, you wouldn't necessarily do this on your website, maybe in like a sources page or something. If you really have a lot of, good, helpful sources for them, you may want to add some, outside links. Blogs, external links are fantastic. I wouldn't do more than one per, blog or page or whatever, just because we're trying not to get people to go off of our page. However, it does show that there's some authority here. Like, hey, listen, if you liked what I had to say, you should really, or I don't know, a good example for this, but anyway, I think you guys get the gist. You can create your own backlinks. We talked about this backlink thing earlier, when like guest posting and stuff, but there's another way to do that. And that is to follow people that are similar to you, not necessarily competitors. You don't want to do this to competitors because you don't want to step on any toes or, not play nicely. But if personal styling is a good example, I'm not necessarily going to go to another personal stylist webpage, but maybe I go to a blogger that writes about affordable fashion, or a blogger that writes about Target finds. And I'm going to look at some of her blogs. And if any of that applies to something I've written or to my page, like to my service, I can comment on that post or comment anywhere that comments are allowed and link to my post or my page, right? The hack here, or like not the hack, the tip here is to make those comments memorable and meaningful. Don't write on there like, hey, great post, and then put your link, right? No one's going to click on that. It's spammy, it's yucky. But if you write like, oh my gosh, I am a Target fanatic too, and I have found, I love these clothes that you found. I've found some great swimsuits there as well. You can read the post here and link there. And the idea is that people that do engage and read comments and stuff, not only the person that wrote it, but the people that read comments will possibly see your answer and link. So you can see the difference between a meaningful comment and a non-meaningful one. But if you want to be intentional, you've just provided your own backlink, basically. It's not as good as like the big backlink, but it is a backlink. It's coming off somebody else's page now. So as long as that's allowed. And if it's not, I'm sure they'll let you know, or they'll shut off the comments. So you can give it a shot. When we talk about using keywords in our copy and keywords in our, on our webpage, you want to do those very naturally. So you want to use them just as you speak them. So if blueberry cobbler recipe was a good example. I'm not going to just write blueberry cobbler recipe, as my title. I'm going to write something like, how to make blueberry cobbler recipe, or how to make blueberry cobbler, or how, or the best blueberry cobbler recipe, something along those lines. You want to make it just as you talk. So when I talk about keywords so much, it doesn't mean just throw in keywords. Google like just throwing in, keywords for like, just to, it's actually, there's a word for it. It's keyword, I forget what the word is. Stuffing, keyword stuffing. So the term is keyword stuffing. Don't do it. Only use them naturally. Stuffing, there, Diana wrote it. So make sure that that's what you are doing with these keywords. And I'm going to actually tell you a couple more parts. You guys, I took so many notes on this stuff. So do use your keywords in your main title, whatever your title is, whether it's on your web page, or whether it's on your blog, or whether it's in a post somewhere. If you have a title, use that keyword in there. The further you can get it to the beginning of the sentence, the better, but don't make it unnatural, right? Don't, like I said, I wouldn't start it off with like blueberry cobbler recipe, great, or something, but how to make the best blueberry cobbler is, it's towards the end of the sentence. But if you can make it naturally go to the beginning, then it's better. It's just the closer it is to the beginning, the more Google thinks like this is where the answer is, right? Like this actual post or article or web page or whatever has the answer. So that's your main title. It's sometimes referred to as like H1 and blogging world. And then you want to break it down into smaller titles, right? Smaller sections. And those, you also want to use other keywords. You can use your main one and at least one other of those, but you're going to have your some like what do we call them? Like related keywords that you want to use in those titles as well. You want to try to use it in your first sentence, if not your first paragraph, those keywords. And then also we could talk about images. So images can all have what's called alt text, ALT text. You can click on there, you can change the alt text. So instead of it being called ds346.jpg, you can change the name to personal stylist Leanne Roberts in her closet .jpg, right? And you, whatever it is, the keywords that you want to relate to this particular post or web page or whatever. If it's just my, it's like my services page on Mama Crush, and my photos, I might alt text something along the line of, personal stylist, service, fees, that sort of thing, something that has to do with what that page is about. So the alt text is really important. You can also add a title and a caption to each photo. Google looks at the photos. They know what the photo is of. If I am talking about personal styling, but my photos on my website are all of my kitchen, then it's not going to be, it doesn't match up. So Google, it's just one of those other factors that Google is looking at when they're trying to decide when to show your page. This is really important. Keep all your content on every page skimmable, meaning break it down. The shorter sentences, don't have run-on sentences, have bullet points, have it broken into multiple paragraphs. The more words, the better, because Google is reading all of these words, right? But they have to be meaningful words. They have to be intentional. Take out the fluff. Don't add in extra fluffy words just to get more words. That doesn't work ever in anything we do. If you have a blog post though, and it's like 500 words or more, awesome. But no one wants to read 500 words of straight text. It should be broken down. That 500 words should be broken down into like 7 paragraphs, with different titles, different bullet points, bold print, some of them, make it uniform throughout so that it's easy to read. You don't want it to be too crazy so that it's hard to read, but you do want to make it easily readable. One thing, I think it's on Yoast SEO, it will tell you a readability score. So it not only tells you an SEO score, but a readability score. Like how easy is this for the user to actually look at and use and read? So it's important because you want people to stay on your page. I'm running out of time here and I have so much more great information, but let me see over here. I think we've kind of covered a lot of this stuff. There is something called a Google URL submission, and this is something that I want to look a little further into. I just kind of got to it at the end of my research, but from what I was reading, for people that have a newer blog or website, meaning most of us, right? Diana is like a 10 plus year, but so this wouldn't really work for her, I don't think. But you can submit a URL to Google somehow. I'll have to look up exactly how you do it, but you can submit a URL to Google so that they know, so that they can review it, because Google is not naturally paying attention to you when you're brand new, right? You have to do a lot to be noticed, and a lot means putting out a lot of content, adding a lot to your pages, getting a lot of interaction on there, getting a lot of eyeballs on it. So if you want to boost that, you can submit these URLs to Google for them to review. And it kind of just like puts them at the forefront of the list. So I'm going to look a little more into that. But it does sound pretty good, especially for somebody that, like less than a year old that doesn't have a lot of content on their site. Lastly, I'm going to say that overall, when you are writing anything on your website, whether it's your blog posts, your pages, your about me, or when you're writing anything or saying anything on YouTube, when you are writing posts for Facebook and Instagram, those aren't SEO, but it's just good to keep in mind, is to not speak in a passive voice. Speak in an active voice, have calls to action, let Google know what it is that you are doing, why you're the authority, and what you're trying to do with it, right? Like if you're trying to sell something, that's fine. Google doesn't care. Like they're happy to have people selling things on Google or on the web or whatever and to show it off. But you need to be really clear on that, right? So that it knows exactly what you are, so that it knows Diana is a blogger, and it knows Gwen is a yoga, a meditation educator, right? So they want to know exactly what it is you do. So use an active voice when you speak. And when I say speak or write, right? Speak or write. I think that is it. Oh, lastly is to make everything shareable on your website and on your blog. So if you don't make it shareable, meaning you can add like a way, and I have to get more details about this, but I know that there's a way to like make every picture pinnable to Pinterest. There's a way to make every post you write shareable on Instagram and Facebook. If you make all those things shareable, that it makes it easy for the user to share if it's, like if they really enjoyed it or liked it or found it useful. And it just tells Google that, again, you are worth watching and you are worth paying attention to. So, all right, that was a lot of info in a little bit of time. And I even have so many notes I didn't even cover here. But I just wanted to go over all this SEO keywords kind of information, and I hope I give you some good tips. And we will continue on in the conversation, of course, always. And if you guys are cool, Diana, thank you so much for your help. I know that this is kind of
No,
your
I was gonna say,
jam.
Leanne, that was like the most comprehensive, like seriously, all the information that you covered today is like what's taken me years to find, like over bits and pieces, little snippets like that.
Oh,
If you could
good.
condense it into one thing, basically everything you said is what
Oh,
you need.
that's so nice to
Well,
hear.
you should pat yourself on the back because that's a
Thank
really hard
you.
topic. It's very complicated, so
It is.
deep,
And like
so
I said, there's a lot of things I have big question marks next to, and I was hoping you would help me out, which you did. So I was like, good,
yeah,
because like I
it's
didn't
just
understand it. But oh, thanks so much for saying that. That's really
uh,
cool. I
it's
appreciate it.
very helpful even for me. I mean, I'm just like, I'm still going through all the stuff and learning as I go and all that, and I think, and it's ever changing too, because the way that Google works and all their algorithmic things, like you just have to be on top of it all the time and make sure that like whatever you were doing a year ago isn't now like the opposite of what Google wants you
Right.
to do,
Right.
because that's actually what happened to like a lot of bloggers and stuff that I know. They had been doing it for a long time, and like they weren't trying to like do something sneaky, but what used to be okay back then, like, is not okay now. And Google
Right.
thinks of it as like trying to get around the system, So, yeah, but I think you pretty much covered it all, I would say. Like, I'm sure that it's like, I feel bad whenever like newer people are starting to get into this and realize how important it is. Cause I know that it's like your mind is just like, like
Yeah.
it's
Well, and
just
it's all the things we talk about, a different thing every single week that you need to do, that you
right.
must do. But if you want to focus on things that, I mean, Google, it is the largest search engine in the world. I mean, if you want to be found, we all go to Google to get found or to find things. And if you want to even have a shot at it, then you do have to pay attention to it. So
Yeah.
it's overwhelming, I know, but thank you for the kind words. I appreciate
You
it.
are very